What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, training camp has officially started for a lot of teams in the NFC North and our Minnesota Vikings. Day one, we'll be diving into all you need to know. Overall, very positive. Andrew Van Ginkel had another pick six today. Ivan Pace Jr. had a pick six. Apparently, J.J. McCarthy had a 60-yard bomb to Jordan Addison. Football's back, man. I couldn't be more excited. And if you guys are excited that Vikings football is back, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comment section. I got a bunch of real ones in the building. Beans, hit clips saying, yo, what's going on, man? Ben's in the building saying SKOL. Abby SKOL saying, does Chicago wanting to draft J.J. McCarthy mean he is going to be a bust? No, I do not think so. But, yeah, I saw that report that apparently the Bears had J.J. pretty high up on their draft board. Now, I thought that headline was a little misleading. I think it was all pretty obvious to us that the Bears were going to select Caleb Williams, but maybe they're entertaining like a trade back scenario, and J.J. McCarthy was their guy, but I didn't really want to put too much thought into that. But Cohen B saying, did the stream just start? Yes, sir. We're only 2 minutes into it, so welcome on in. We got Abby in the building, Ben, Christopher Domingo, Roger Bong saying SKOL, Ghoul City saying SKOL to the bowl. But guys, training camp just started today. They are wrapping up their first practice. I got a bunch of the news and notes that we'll dive into on our second segment, but let me ask you guys this. What are you watching specifically at Vikings training camp? It could be, J.J. McCarthy, layering the football a little more, Josh Metellus, is there anything that you are specifically watching here at Vikings training camp? I mean, obviously for me, J.J. McCarthy and, all the reports are suggesting that he had a pretty good day today, but even just seeing like the development of a guy like Jordan Addison, how would they use Dallas Turner? What about a guy like Rondale Moore? Can he get more involved in the offense this year for the Minnesota Vikings? Even Abby in the comments saying the wide receiver 3 position, that's a good point. Like Ty Felton, Jalen Naylor, Rondale Moore, who's going to win that battle? Wrestling saying, what do you think the record will be? I have the Vikes going 11-6, 12-5. I think that's right around where they will be. I'll say this. I would be more shocked if the Vikings are below 500 compared to them winning 14 games. Like, I would be more stunned if they're an 8-9 team compared to a 14-3 team this upcoming year. But I got them going 11-6, 12-5 this upcoming season. But Cohen B saying Isaiah Rodgers and the secondary, no doubt. Kwesi actually talked about Isaiah Rodgers during his press conference yesterday, so we'll get you guys that quote there. Pretty cool stuff. And, yeah, Z-Stars Athletics say I'm watching the J.J. McCarthy and O-line highlights. I'll tell you guys this. I am so close to pulling the trigger to go in the Vikings training camp on Saturday. We have a 3-day weekend here at Chat Sports, and I am so tempted to fly out Friday night and just go for the day, watch all the fellas at practice. If I do that, I'll obviously have a ton of content for you guys, but, man, I can't wait. Just getting that little juice here today, of training camp starting has been awesome. But Wrestling saying you had the same record as I did, yes sir, and Cohen saying do it and try to talk to your old teammate JJ. Yeah, maybe I shout out to JJ, be like, yo, come on the show, man. Let me get that interview with you. But yeah, we'll see. I was thinking about it with us having a 3-day weekend here. Get you guys some very good content. Yeah, that'll be awesome. With Zazy, welcome in the building, man. But hey, 75 people watching. If you guys could also hit that thumbs up icon. But coming up here on the show, the NFC North, is it imploding a little bit during training camp? The Bears got some drama going on. The Packers think the answer to their cornerback room is Bo Melton. So we'll talk about that as well. I thought that was a little hilarious that the Packers think they're going to be able to roll out a former wide receiver at corner this year. So we'll get you guys info there. Also, they have a lot of injury news that I do want to dive into. And then we do have day one of Minnesota Vikings training camp. All the takeaways. We had a press conference earlier today with Kevin O'Connell, J.J. McCarthy. So we finally got some real content. We don't have all the rumors and all the BS nonsense like, oh, should the Vikings sign Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, Asante Samuel Jr.? I do not care about any of that. I care about real football, and real football is here. So break it all down on today's show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually today was one of those few days where I woke up very excited to talk about this football team and give you guys my takes. And shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. Already up to 82 people watching, but we are going to be diving into a mailbag. So if you guys have any questions around the Minnesota Vikings, hashtag Vikings in the live chat, or if you guys want to super chat to get up on today's show, that is also very, very much appreciated. Just like my guy Blinky coming in here with the $5 super chat. What's going on, man? Saying, hey, Pat, with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year and quarterbacks/wide receivers being more locked up, are we going to see more 50-50 run pass teams? I would honestly, I think a lot more teams in the NFL are going to lean more into the run game because it wasn't just the Eagles last year. Like the Baltimore Ravens were a very dynamic rushing team with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, that good O-line. Obviously, the Detroit Lions, the backbone of that team is Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, David Montgomery, and another team in our division, the Green Bay Packers. They had that stretch. It was for about 2 months before Week 17, before they came into Minnesota and got absolutely rolled. They were running the football like crazy. I just think it's trends in the NFL where we were kind of shifting, before last year, but the previous 5, it was more of like an air attack. A lot of these teams were opening up their offenses, really trying to push the ball downfield, and then defenses adjusted. We saw a lot more, cover 2 in the league, but now I think people are kind of shifting back where it's like, hey, if you're going to run too high, we'll just run the football. And with the Vikings having Jefferson, Addison, all those pass-catching options, you're going to have to show too high a lot. But now with the Vikes having a good offensive line, 2 good running backs, they should be able to run the ball at a very, very high level. And if they don't, then we'll have some thoughts on Kevin O'Connell because there really is no more excuse for him not to have a dominant rushing team. Like, he's a great offensive mind. He's a great head coach, but I think there's just levels to it. He's already dominated the passing game. He's had Kirk Cousins had career years. He's had Sam Darnold had career years. But can he have a career year for a guy like Jordan Mason, a guy like Aaron Jones? We'll wait and see. But Blinky, I do think that's a very, very good point. I think we are going to see more teams lean into the run this upcoming season. But Stefan, what's going on, man? Sorry I'm late. Just finished work. Keep on scoling. We're going to keep on scoling all off season long, man. All factor form. Yeah. My bad if I had that different in the script. Okay, nope. Yeah, Marco's coming in saying, are you ready for the Vikings-Texans preseason game? Yeah, we're actually going to talk about J.J. McCarthy's preseason plan. Ben Gessling says he doesn't anticipate him to play in the second or third preseason game, so I'm assuming we'll get a lot of McCarthy in that Week 1 game against the Houston Texans. But, again, a lot can happen. Like, let's say J.J. goes out there versus Houston. He struggles a little bit. Then I could see them maybe deploying him a lot more in the Patriots game. But also that Patriots game, they have joint practices with them before that game. Those joint practices are going to feel a lot more like a regular season game than that preseason game because we're going to see all 11 for both teams on both sides of football, getting some high-quality reps. So normally those preseason games, you see a lot more of the backups, but those should be, again, high-quality reps for J.J. McCarthy. And J.J. was also talking about Brian Flores today, and he was just saying how much fun he has going against that defense because they do such a good job at disguising. It's obviously a tough challenge, but I think that's huge for a young quarterback where you will have almost practices seem a whole lot easier than the games because you're going against that Vikings defense with Grenard, that elite front 7, Flores calling the shots, veterans in the secondary. So hopefully practices are hard, make the games feel easier for the young quarterback. But Lego fellow saying, I'm absolutely dying for some J.J. McCarthy tape. You got no idea, man. You got no idea. Me too. We are all some sickos right now. But Corey Miller saying, man, every time I watch J.J. pressers, I'm more and more impressed. Well-spoken dude, man. I mean, he's 22 years old, but seems like he is a 35-year-old veteran in the league. And, it's all credit to him. Z-Star saying, hey, Pat, what do you think the score Steelers versus Vikes Week 4? Far ways away. Should be a good game, though. I think it'll be a little lower scoring than we think, maybe like 23-17 around that ballpark, obviously in favor of the Vikings. Hopefully the Vikes can beat Rodgers in London last year, beat him in Dublin this year, and absolutely beat him in the States when he was with the Green Bay Packers. But with AZ saying another dark horse year for Minnesota, it's always a dark horse year for the Minnesota Vikings. But we're going to dive into this first segment here. NFC North news around training camp that impacts the Vikings. Also talk about JJ's preseason plan. But if you guys could, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comments section and hit that thumbs up icon if you guys are ready to go. And if you guys are ready to go, I say we just dive on into it. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Now, coming up on today's show, I actually want to take a look at other teams in the NFC North, specifically the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, and just dive into all of their training camp news and notes and talk about how that impacts the Minnesota Vikings. Then a lot of people have been asking, will we see a lot of J.J. McCarthy during the preseason? Well, Vikings insider Ben Gessling actually had a clutch update on that. So we'll share with you guys all the info you need to know. But everybody, training camp is here. You can just smell football season is just around the corner, and we are ramping up our coverage here on the channel. So hit that subscribe button today. Do not miss a thing around your favorite football team. If we could somehow hit 58K before the season, I would greatly appreciate it. So if you guys are new here, have not subscribed to the channel just yet, change that. Hit that subscribe button. All right, we're going to start off with the Green Bay Packers. Now, what's going on in Green Bay? You know, they had an interesting offseason. They, in my opinion, overpaid for a couple of offensive linemen. They finally drafted a wide receiver in the first round, but they also let go of Jair Alexander. And that caused a massive hole at the cornerback position. And the good old smart football minds over there in Green Bay, this is what they decided to do. Gutekunst says Bo Melton will mostly play at corner and switch to number 16. If you guys don't know, Bo Melton was a wide receiver. He actually had a game against the Vikings. He had 100 yards and a touchdown. So he's going to be playing corner here for the Green Bay Packers, which is pretty damn funny. But this was actually what Brian Gutekunst had to say on Bo Melton, saying Bo is going to spend most of his time at corner. I think we switched his number to 16 because that looks a little bit better than 80 he was running out there at camp. He'll spend most of the time, especially these first 3 or 4 weeks, at corner. And it's not even like I blame the Packers for trying to figure out this cornerback situation because this room is ugly. Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, Javon Bullard at the nickel. Like, those are just rotational backup cornerbacks for most teams. And the Packers are asking a lot of these guys. Now, I wouldn't think this is a massive issue for Green Bay if they're playing in any other division besides the NFC North. But look at those 3 corners you see on screen, and now look at the 6 wide receivers they're going to have to play 6 times this season. Obviously, we know we got what we got going on in Minnesota. You got number 18, Jefferson. You got number 3, Jordan Addison, 2 studs. But even the Chicago Bears, they got a good wide receiver duo, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and then the Detroit Lions. Got to give credit to them. They got Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams. So, honestly, when I saw that Bo Melton report, I just thought it was kind of funny. I wouldn't anticipate him getting any real reps this season at the cornerback position, but they're trying everything. It kind of says they're already hitting the panic button a little bit, but just want to get you guys updates there out of Green Bay, and we got a lot more to get to here. Ryan Wood coming in, saying Gutekunst says Christian Watson's rehab from his torn ACL is going great this offseason. He's a freak. He did a run test the other day and looked great. It's an ACL, so we're going to take our time with him, but he's pressing to get out there. Now, people are assuming that Christian Watson will be back around week 9 or week 10 this season, so we'll probably see him twice. But still, that could be a big loss for the Packers offense. But there's even more injury news here. Quay Walker underwent surgery that Gutekunst called a cleanup. It stemmed from an ankle injury, but isn't expected to miss too much time in camp. Quay Walker, huge part of that defense. He is that glue at the linebacker position. And also Ryan Wood saying this on Elton Jenkins. Apparently he is dealing with a back injury. He says Jenkins has made clear once the back issue is over, he's ready to be on the practice field as the Packers' new center. So obviously Green Bay dealing with some injuries, and kind of feel a little lucky that the Vikings are as healthy as they are right now. Obviously you still have Christian Darrisaw working back, Rondale Moore, Will Fries, Gavin Bartholomew popped on PUP, but nothing too serious. So speaking about the Green Bay Packers, best part of last season, besides the Vikes winning obviously 14 games, was sweeping up that team in Wisconsin. So if you guys want the Vikings to sweep the Green Bay Packers again, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comments section. I'll say this. I better see 1,000 SKOLs on today's video. So if you guys want the Vikings to sweep the Packers again, hit me with a SKOL down below. Now we'll talk about the Chicago Bears and J.J. McCarthy here in a second. But I got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Daily Greens by Factor Form. If you guys head to factor75.com/VikingsChat, we'll hook you guys up with 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I tried Factor Form's daily greens. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens, and as the sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just one scoop. Delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste, it's actually enjoyable to drink. Mix a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. And my favorite part of Daily Greens, it ranked #1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. What's going on in Chicago? Dive into some of the news, notes, and takeaways from day one of their training camp, and it's a little hectic. Casey Carlson tweeting this out, saying Bears training camp practice #1, no sign of rookie wide receiver Luther Burden. Now, when we were really in the dog days of the offseason, on the back half of a show, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was saying random NFL predictions. One of my random predictions was that Luther Burden was going to cause some drama in that Chicago locker room. Not saying this is him causing drama. This is one step in the right direction, but also the first rep of 11-on-11, Caleb Williams was picked off by Tremaine Edmonds. Now, again, I'm not going to overreact to the first play in the first rep for Caleb Williams at 11-on-11 practice, but still, it's definitely something to note. And then apparently Ben Johnson yelled, "You're out," when Caleb Williams and the first team offense couldn't get lined up properly in 7-on-7, which definitely a little interesting. Totally different vibe there in Chicago compared to Matt Eberflus last year. I think they're going to be a scrappy team. Will they compete to win the NFC North title? I don't think so, but definitely some interesting stuff going on in Chicago. Now, this last line, Ozzie Trapillo, he started at left tackle, and the Bears are actually having a left tackle competition right now between these three guys. Braxton Jones, solid offensive tackle, dealing with some injuries right now. And they got Ozzie, who they drafted in the second round, and then Karan Amigaji. If you guys remember, Karan was the guy that started the second time the Vikings played the Bears on that Monday Night Football game, and Grenard completely smoked him on a move. He had the strip sack on Caleb Williams, but I'll tell you what, definitely not good that you're having a left tackle competition. I know this Bears offensive line is getting all types of hype, but they're going to have to get chemistry. They're going to have to get continuity with each other, and if you're having a left tackle battle when that's all going on, it's just definitely not a positive thing. Is it the end of the world for the Bears? Absolutely not, but just want to get you guys updates there. And Caleb Williams is actually talking about his goals for 2025. He's got some lofty goals here. He wants to be the first Bears quarterback ever to throw for 4,000 yards. Now, if I remember, Bears fans were saying this was a guarantee last season. Did not end up happening, but he also wants to complete 70% of his passes, which, in that Ben Johnson offense, I will say is very gettable for Caleb, but that's what he was saying in a press conference recently. But let me ask you guys this. Do the Chicago Bears scare you? Every offseason, they get hyped up. People were saying they're going to win the Super Bowl last year, and the first year Caleb Williams starting, they don't scare me one bit. The Vikings have actually played very well in Chicago. I think we've won 4 straight games in Chicago in 4 straight seasons. I think we're like 7-1 against the Bears over the last 4 years. They don't really scare me. I think they're more of a fugazi instead of a real football team. But I think the Vikings should handle them twice this season. But, hey, be honest with me. If you're buying into the Bears offseason hype, let me know. Do the Chicago Bears scare you? Y for yes, N for no. All right, let's talk about the preseason to close out today's show. So Ben Gessling, lead Vikings beat reporter, said, I think there's a good chance he plays in that one. Talking about the Houston Texans game 1 of the preseason. But then he added in this note. He's not going to play against the Patriots in the second preseason game. So if I was calling the shots, and if I was Kevin O'Connell, and I was orchestrating how we will use J.J. McCarthy in the preseason, I would play him the whole first half versus the Houston Texans. Biggest reason, he needs the reps. He needs to get comfortable with that first-team offense. Now, also, I don't think that means you should go throw out, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison out there. you can still go with the backup wide receivers, but I would like to have that first-team offensive line out there with J.J. Now, obviously, Christian Darrisaw won't play, so you just plug in, swing tackle Justin School, but I want to see Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly. If Will Fries is ready to go, put him out there, and Brian O'Neill. Just give J.J. a whole first half versus the Houston Texans, and then if he looks good, you shut him down for the rest of the preseason. Now, ideally, I would love for the Vikings to run J.J. for all 3 preseason games, but also we can call it like it is. He got hurt in last year's preseason. You obviously want to get him the reps, but you also don't want to be too risky in doing that. So it's a tricky situation for Kevin O'Connell to navigate, but give him the whole first half versus the Houston Texans. If he looks good, then you can shut him down. But what do you guys think? How many games should J.J. McCarthy play in the preseason? I think just a half is fine. I know obviously as fans we would want him to play a whole lot more, but I'll just go half a game for this one. But hey, you guys let me know. How many games should J.J. McCarthy play in the preseason? I'm going to know your thoughts in the comments section. Now, if you guys also want to hit me up on Twitter, I'll be posting about Vikings training camp, this whole Vikings team, all offseason long. So that's a handle, at Pat Sieps. The link's in the comment section and description of today's show. But we appreciate all of you guys watching. As always, SKOL Vikes. Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? We'll dive into the training camp news here in just a second, so stay tuned for that. But we did have some super chats come in. We'll get those up on screen here in a second and talk about them. But Z Star saying, "Hey Pat, do you think we can at least win one game versus the Lions?" I hope so, man. If any team scares me in the NFC North, it is the Lions, and there is a sizable gap. Actually, in our poll, 114 votes, which NFC North team scares you the most? Lions, 74%. The Bears, 17%, and the Packers only at 10%. Oh, interesting. I thought the Packers would have been higher than the Bears, but I don't know. Green Bay, I could just see them having maybe not like a terrible year, but maybe they only win 7 to 8 games. Shout out to Marcos, man, getting a question in there. We appreciate you. But in terms of JJ, are we all cool with him playing a half, or do you guys want to see him play more? Cohen saying, Pat, what is the best snack to try in America? Best snack. I'm a big chips person. Any sort of Doritos. I'm a big Doritos guy. That's probably what I'll say. Let him play until he feels comfortable. Like, yeah, also if JJ, like I just say, they have 1 drive, 2 drives, and, you know, they go touchdown, and he looks good. He looks the part like the franchise quarterback, and you can just rest him. You got Sam Howell. You got Brett Rippon. You should be able to still get a decent look offensively with those guys. But, again, we're going to be getting into a mailbag. So just use hashtag Vikings, or if you guys want to super chat like a bunch of real ones did already, as Connor saying, can't wait for Vikings football. Me either, my friend. I cannot wait. But we'll show you guys some of those super chats here. Shout out to Zach Moffitt and Gibbyson and Funny Boy Roddy for coming in. Start off with Zach here saying Broncos win the AFC West. I don't think so. I know Denver's getting a lot of hype. I think they're getting a little overhyped. I think they'll still be a very good team. Like, that defense should be phenomenal. They should have one of the best deep defenses in the league this upcoming season. But you start looking back at the teams they beat last year, not too many good wins on the Broncos schedule. Like, don't forget, they were 5-5 at a point. And then they beat some poor quarterback play, some not too good teams. They're getting blasted in the wild card round. I just think they're getting a little overhyped, but still a very good football team. I was Sean Payton, a good coach. But yeah, I would still say the Chiefs most likely take it, or if I had to pick a wild card, it'd actually be the Los Angeles Chargers. Gibby Son coming in with $1 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Shout out to you, Brody. If you guys want to show him some love, just give me a SKOL Gibby down below. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And then Funny Boy Roddy, my guy, saying, I want my Vikings sweeping the whole division. In J.J. McCarthy, we trust. What would you guys rather take? All right, that's actually a bad question. I was going to say a playoff win, or you sweep the division, but you lose in the wild card round. But then again, if you sweep the division, you're probably not playing in the wild card. Or what if we sweep the division, lose in the divisional like the Lions did last year? Or would you rather have the Vikings be like a 10-7 wild card team, but we win a playoff game? I would probably choose win a playoff game just so this Kevin O'Connell can't win the big game talk can finally be put to bed. But I'll tell you what, KOC, when he was talking during his press conference, they understand they need to win a playoff game. Like, all these regular season wins are cool. You win 13 games, you win 14 games. It all looks great, but postseason time comes around. That's when the real money is made. And I think every move we have made this offseason has been for postseason football. Honestly, I can see the Vikings starting off slow this year. Maybe it's like 2-2 after the first 4 games. Maybe you drop one to the Bears or Falcons. Then you beat, the Bengals. Like, let's say you split against Bengals, Steelers, split against Bears and Falcons. I could see fans freaking out, but I think this team, all the moves they have made to make them a better team when it really matters. And that's getting better in the trenches, getting a better run game, and every move we have made this offseason has been to do just that. We got one more super chat to get to from my guy, Zach Moffitt, saying, have you seen the Netflix series, The Quarterback? I have. I actually just finished season 2. I thought it was pretty damn good. I'll tell you what, Jared Goff's a very likable guy. Kirk Cousins, I don't know why. He just came off more as corny and cringy to me this second season. I just feel like Kirk's maybe playing it up for the camera a little bit. Like, obviously he has this, like, white dad stereotype around him, and I just feel like he kind of leans too much into it. Now, is he just being his true self? Very well could be, but I did feel like Kirk was playing it up for the camera a little bit. Joe Burrow, though, dude's cool as ice, man. I thought he really impressed me in that series, but Jared Goff, very likable guy. But Zach, I appreciate the super chat. It was definitely a very entertaining series. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, please do so. But we got Eric in the building saying, Pat, what's good, man? Shout out to you, Eric. Thanks for tuning in. Cohen saying we need Jameis on there next year. 100%. 100%. What do you think our defense ranking will be with B-Flow and this new D-line? I think it'll be top 5. He's got the chance to be the best. But I think top 10 is like the floor for this defense. But we're going to dive into day 1 of Vikings training camp. Can't wait to talk about it. J.J. McCarthy was slinging the rock. We got a lot to break down. So if you guys are ready to go, we're 2 likes away from 50. Just need 2 more of you guys to hit that thumbs up icon, and we can dive on into it. Day 1 takeaways from training camp. I've been waiting months to do this video. Months. So if you guys could, hit that thumbs up icon, and we'll dive into it. Tommy Wood in the building saying SKOL, as Connor as well saying SKOL. Appreciate all of you guys. But if you're ready to roll, I said we talk about it. Minnesota Vikings training camp. J.J. McCarthy looks good. Got a lot to talk about. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, training camp is finally here. I have been waiting months to do this video. I hate talking about all the nonsense rumors. Should they sign this guy? Should they sign this guy? I just want to talk about real football, and that's what we have here today. So we'll be talking about day 1 takeaways. Jordan Addison, he was speaking to the media, same with Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy. And then also, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah had a very cool quote on Isaiah Rodgers that was shared with you guys at the tail half of today's show. But like I was saying, football's back. Football is back. You can just smell it in the air when the Vikings are hitting that training camp field. All attention starts shifting towards that team in Minnesota. So if you guys are fired up for Vikings football, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's see if we can get 500 likes on today's show. If we could do that, that would be awesome. So if you guys are fired up, hit that thumbs up icon. All right, day 1, training camp highlights for your Minnesota Vikings. And we're going to start off here with, I'm sure, who everybody is wanting to look at, and that's J.J. McCarthy. But first, practice was actually moved inside today. Apparently some showers were coming in the Minnesota area, so they're inside. Apparently that place doesn't have air conditioning, so it felt like a swamp in there, which tell you what, the Vikings have great facilities, great everything. Like whenever those NFL PA grades come out, it's A+, A+, A+. Let's get some AC in that practice facility for the fellas. But J.J. McCarthy, when I saw this tweet hit my timeline, a big old smile came to my face. Kevin Seifert tweeting out, J.J. McCarthy just demonstrated his deep arm, rifled the ball down the right sideline to Jordan Addison for a 60-yard touchdown. Now, there is no video of this play, which is incredibly disappointing. This was during this session where cameras were turned off. But a J.J. McCarthy 60-yard touchdown to Jordan Addison. I'll say this, and again, this is just, like, obviously I'm not there. But minicamp, OTAs, a lot of these videos where we see McCarthy really pushing the ball downfield, I feel like they've all gone to Jordan Addison. And then the first day of training camp, he hits Jordan Addison for a 60-yard bomb. I got a feeling Addison might have a monster year, but we'll show love to the defense here. Shout out to Will Regetz at Vikings training camp. Sam Howell's first pass attempt of the day is jumped by Ivan Pace Jr. for a pick six. I thought this guy couldn't cover. Hopefully that's a great sign for the season because obviously we know Ivan Pace, fantastic in run support. He's a great blitzing linebacker, but he really does struggle in coverage. So him having a pick six off Sam Howell, we'll take that. And then Will Regetz, another pick six. OMG, we just got a training camp gink six. AVG was all over a screen pass from Brett Rippon to the right side. Bobbled it a bit, but caught it and housed it. And that part when he said bobbled it a bit, if you guys remember that Lions game, week 18, I think the score was like 13-9 or it was like 17-9. The game was still a one-score game. Lions are driving late in the fourth quarter. Van Ginkel kind of tips it up, isn't able to secure it, but he would have had a pick six on that play. So when I heard that bobbled it a little bit, started getting flashbacks to that week 18 game. But I'll tell you what, this guy Van Ginkel just making plays all over the field. And there's actually a video of Grenard, Van Ginkel, and Turner. They looked awesome during individual drills. Like the way they fly across the edge, they're all just freak athletes. Like I don't think we give these guys enough credit, especially a guy like Dallas Turner. Absolutely freaky, man. Kevin O'Connell was even talking about him, saying his body looks fantastic. But all three of these guys looking good in individual drills. He was one of the photos. Grenard and Van Ginkel working out right there. Now, again, the question becomes, how do you get Dallas Turner out there on the football field more? Because obviously, Van Ginkel and Grenard, they're going to be playing 90, 95% of snaps. You're not going to take either of those guys off the football field. So how do you get Dallas Turner in there? Maybe that's dropping more Van Ginkel in the coverage, using him more in a linebacker edge hybrid instead of, last year was more of an edge linebacker hybrid. And then you just have Dallas Turner still out there. But again, Turner and Van Ginkel can both drop in the coverage at a high level. I say just get them out there on the football field as much as you can. And the Vikings coaching staff knows that. But also there's another video. J.J. McCarthy, his arm looked absolutely massive. The zip he has on the football is truly special. And if you guys remember, it was T.J. Hawkinson talking about McCarthy early on this offseason saying he really does remind me of Matthew Stafford. That zip he has, it doesn't look like it's coming, but it gets to your hands very, very quick. And just seeing him just casually throw the football, his mechanics are fantastic. Now, I think the question becomes with McCarthy because we all know he has a strong arm. We all know he can really zip it across the middle of the field. But can he develop layering the football? That's going to be the huge question with him because that's really where arm talent comes into play. Like if you're just trying to float a ball over the top of a zone, which I'll tell you what, he showed that during the preseason game, so I'm not too concerned. But if there is one concern I have over J.J. McCarthy, it's just layering the football. Because even if you go throw on his tape at Michigan, everything's a line drive. Everything he was just, throwing that ball in there at a super high velocity. So can he end up learning the football? We'll see. But also McCarthy was speaking to media this afternoon, and Alec Lewis saying you could tell he's ready to get going to compete. Said it was important for him to orchestrate some of the throwing sessions with teammates in the last few weeks. He was actually asked, because if you guys saw that viral video, it was like McCarthy, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, even Blake Cashman was there. They were all working out. Apparently J.J. McCarthy orchestrated that. So I thought that was awesome. But let's shift here to Jordan Addison. He was talking, possible suspension. He knows what's going on. He obviously decided to plead guilty with his case trial, and this is what Addison had to say. He's saying everything, is out of my control right now. So whatever the league got for me, I'll be prepared, whatever decision they make. I got to give Addison credit. I like where his head is at. He could have said something cryptic there, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I don't really speculate too much on that, but I like where his head is at. He clearly is in a good spot mentally. You can really see Addison also growing up, which is very cool, especially just covering the Minnesota Vikings it's going to be my fourth season. He was actually part of the first draft class I ever covered for this team. Just seeing him really grow up in front of our eyes, I think is pretty cool. But Addison was also asked about that summer throwing session and those workouts with McCarthy, and he said, it's always good building a good connection outside of the building. whenever you can and just keep that chemistry going. It was high vibes, good spirits, and just having fun. But, connecting that Addison suspension back to this Vikings wide receiver room, Kevin O'Connell was talking about Jalen Nailor, and he said he's primed and ready to have a huge role in our offense. Now, I think we're all still speculating. Could it be Ty Felton? Could it be Rondale Moore? Could it be Jalen Nailor getting those wide receiver 3 spots? Who really knows? But if Addison is suspended, Nailor should be huge in September. Like those first 3 games, let's just say worst case scenario, and I do think it's worst case scenario 3 games, but honestly, even if they tack on that 3-game suspension, I think he'll probably appeal it to get it down to 2 games, but Nailor is going to be huge in September. Whether that's him, Felton, Rondale Moore stepping up, Nailor is going to be out there for a majority of the offensive snaps, and plus he's already familiar with the system. Like I could see him sliding into that Addison role pretty easily, which KOC also talked about it when he had to fill in for him last year when Addison was dealing with that ankle injury. He did a great job. But speaking about Jordan Addison, J.J. McCarthy just threw him a 60-yard bomb. You guys let me know. Over, under, 950 yards for Jordan Addison. Give me O for over. Give me a U for under. How you guys feeling about JA3 this upcoming season? You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Now we'll get to more around the Minnesota Vikings here in a second. But first, I got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now, and that is Daily Greens by Factor Form. Now start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, guys, I'm going to be honest. I've tried green supplements in the past. I didn't like them. I swore I was never going to try them again until I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, like I said, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens. And as a sister brand to Factor Meals, we tell you guys about all the time, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just 1 scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. And Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. In a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's dive into what KOC had to say, and I chose this quote specifically on the running back position. He said, "It's Aaron and Jordan. I really see those guys playing off each other, keeping them both in attack mode." So I think KOC was just necessarily saying there, this is going to be a 50-50 split. We want both these guys feeling 100% once postseason time rolls around. And listen, there's no doubt Aaron Jones was awesome last year. Going over 1,500 all-purpose yards. He had plus 400 in the receiving game. But we also saw at the tail half of the season, definitely slowed down a little bit. And I think that was just because of the workload he carried during the first half of the season. But now you add in a guy like Jordan Mason, who was unreal with the San Francisco 49ers. He was third most in rushing yards over expected per carry, only behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. You guys know that's one of my favorite stats when evaluating running backs, but even the raw numbers look great. 153 carries, 789 yards, 5.2 yards per clip, 3 touchdowns. Like, he looked awesome. He had a 100-yard game versus the Vikings this season. I think he's going to play a big role. And I think Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, they're going to be the floor for this Vikings offense. Like, I think the passing game, and this is going to be completely different from what they were last year, where obviously the passing game was the floor, and then the running game kind of helped elevate that ceiling. I think it's going to be opposite. With all the improvements of the offensive line, I think Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, they're going to raise that floor incredibly high because I'm assuming the Vikings will have a top 10 rushing offense this year. And then the passing game will be the icing on the cake. Cam McCarthy, find Addison, find Jefferson, find Hawkinson. We'll have to wait and see, but I got faith that he'll do that. But Kwesi, he's talking about Isaiah Rodgers. Probably the biggest X factor on this team, at least I would think, just because the cornerback room, it's solid, but you're definitely banking on a lot of guys playing some good football this year, and Isaiah Rodgers is that guy. But Kwesi said this, I think he can probably do a little better in increasing his interception total. And then we will probably be talking about a different tax bracket the next time he's up on the market. You can just hear that financial background come out when Kwesi's talking. But he carried on to say he is someone we're really excited about when you start learning about the person. I'm glad we have him here. And it literally sounds like the whole coaching staff, front office, like they all love Isaiah Rodgers. Kevin O'Connell was talking about him. He loves him. Brian Flores apparently was pounding the table to sign this guy. And I think that was a big reason why the Vikings didn't go toss big money at like a DJ Reed in free agency. They kind of went bargain shopping a little bit where they're like, hey, we could just get Isaiah Rodgers on a 2-year, $15 million deal. We'll take that instead of giving DJ Reed like a 4-year, $55, $60 million deal. So the whole staff loves Isaiah Rodgers. I'm a big fan of him. It's going to be a big-time year for him, though. He's going to be playing majority of defensive snaps, which he hasn't really done in his NFL career. He's more of a rotational guy with the Eagles last year, and he balled out for Philadelphia. PFF graded him out very well. The raw numbers look good, but I think he is the biggest X factor, not only on defense, but possibly the entire team. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy is the biggest X factor, but that's kind of just a no-duh X factor for the Vikes. But I'll ask you guys this. Who is the biggest X factor on the Vikings? Can't say J.J. McCarthy, obviously, but you guys let me know. Name that guy down below in the comment section. I'm going Isaiah Rodgers. If you guys got a different answer, comment your thoughts down below. Also, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on your way out. We're going to keep you guys posted with everything you need to know around your favorite football team. Training camp is here. Awesome times to be a Vikings fan. So appreciate all of you guys watching. Hit that sub button on your way out. And as always, SKOL Vikes. Alrighty, Cohen B going Dallas Turner. Alex Waters in the building. What's going on, man? Tang Yang saying KOC words on the RBs mean nothing until I see it. Didn't he say it was going to be RB committee last 2 seasons, just use one back primarily most of the time? That is true, but also the Vikings haven't had a backup running back to the level of Jordan Mason the last 2 years. That was Ty Chandler. KOC also said Ty Chandler needs to have a massive, massive training camp. I think he could potentially be a cut candidate, but we'll see. I'm expecting that 1-2 punch to be fully on display week 1 against the Chicago Bears. I wouldn't be shocked if the first drive of the season we see Jordan Mason out there compared to Aaron Jones. But we'll see. We'll see how they end up playing that out. But again, we're going to be diving into a mailbag here in just a second. So if you guys got any last-minute questions, if they apply. Yeah, that's perfect. Maybe Theo Jackson. I agree with that. Nah. Yeah, you can add that. How many wins do you think the Vikings will have this year? I'm at 11 or 12. Obviously, you're not going to go back-to-back 14-win seasons. The schedule's a lot more challenging, and we will have a point in the year. Everybody should be fully prepared. J.J. McCarthy will have a bad 2 to 3 week stretch. Maybe the Vikes go 1-2, playing in some big-time football games. Like, even though I think he'll be very successful, 11 to 12 wins first year starting, like, that is fantastic production. But I'm just be prepared for a bad 2 to 3 week stretch. But once he gets that out of him, hit the ground running. Robert Pavich saying Nikola Vucevic starting QB for the Vikings by week 10. That's funny stuff. How long do you think Jordan's Addison suspension will be? 2 to 3 games. I think if they give him 3, he'll probably appeal it down to 2. But yeah, I would probably say 2 games. I think he'll miss the first 2 primetime games. Be back for week 3 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. That's where I think Addison will play. But week 1 versus the Bears, most likely the Vikings will be rolling into Chicago with no Jordan Addison and no Christian Darrisaw. So that may get a little dicey, but also what a start to the season that would be if you go no Darrisaw, no Addison, you roll in the week 1 to get a win for Chicago. But if you guys could, we're good? Yeah, that's fine. We're going to dive into a mailbag. So again, last call, #Vikings or Super Chat to get up on the show. We got a good amount of questions in there. So if you guys want to guarantee your spot, send it a Super Chat. We'll make sure to include it. But yeah, I love these videos. I love mailbags. Just you guys popping questions off on your Minnesota Vikings. We appreciate all of you guys. But If you're ready to roll, let's dive into it. A little Minnesota Vikings mailbag to close out today's wonderful live show. We appreciate you guys, and let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It is mailbag time here on the channel. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. These are my favorite videos we do. You guys ask some great questions, and it's just me and y'all chopping it up about our Minnesota Vikings. And training camp's here. The season's just around the corner. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say. But Bob Barker coming in here with the first question. What's going on, Bobby? Who are some Vikings players that could regress this season? So we're not talking about breakout guys. We're actually talking about guys that could take a step back. First one that came to mind was Andrew Van Ginkel, and I hate saying that. But listen, Van Ginkel was the first player ever last year to have 2 pick sixes, 10-plus sacks, and 70-plus tackles. Is he going to do that again? He very well could. He could have 3 pick sixes this upcoming year. But if I had to pick one guy to regress, maybe Van Ginkel, maybe a Byron Murphy Jr., because we've really only seen Murph had one solid year of production so far by when he joined the Minnesota Vikings. So maybe Byron Murphy, maybe Andrew Van Ginkel. Anybody offensively? Can't really think of anybody offensively. I think they're all going to keep getting better, but good question, Bob. I appreciate you. And Blinky coming in. What's going on? Saying, hey, Pat, with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year and the quarterback/wide receivers being more locked up, are we going to see more 50-50 run pass teams? I think 110%. I think also the Vikings, well-run organization. They see the trends in the NFL, and what did they do this offseason? You add in Ryan Kelly, added in Will Fries. You traded for a dynamic running back in Jordan Mason. They did all that to improve the run game. You also got better on the defensive line to stop the run at a higher level with Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. And I think just the NFL, it's a copycat league. You guys have heard that 1,000 times. But, I'm sure teams were like, oh, the Eagles just did that with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Well, we can replicate that with whoever we have at quarterback. We get a really good coaching staff. You get a stacked team top to bottom. You get a really good run game, and just all those things are, ended up helping the Eagles win a Super Bowl. But 100%, I think this upcoming year, I think this might be the highest, run-pass split we've seen in favor of run probably over the past 5 seasons. But Blinky, I like where your head's at. Good question. Funny boy Roddy coming in here saying, I want my Vikings sweeping the whole division, and J.J. McCarthy we trust. How awesome would that be, funny boy Roddy? Vikings sweep up the whole NFC North. I think we got to start with just winning one game versus the Detroit Lions, but if we do that, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Tommy Wood, what's going on? You mentioned Hawk having a huge year. What do you think about Josh Oliver having a big year? I think Josh Oliver easily could. He really impressed me last year in the pass-catching department when Hawk did miss time. But back to what I was saying on T.J. Hawkinson, maybe I'm just a sucker for these off-season workout videos and these training camp clips, but the guy looks awesome. And I think he should look awesome. He's 28 years old. He's hitting his athletic prime right now. He's been in the NFL a very long time. He understands coverages. And, last year he was coming off that torn ACL, wasn't able to work on his body that whole offseason, just kind of got thrown into the fire. And, I was a little disappointed in Hawk last year, but I also got massive expectations for the guy. I think he could be a top 3, top 5 tight end this upcoming season. And he should have a massive year because J.J. McCarthy, that's his safety blanket. He had such a good connection with Colston Loveland when they were at Michigan. He's probably going to try to have that same connection with T.J. Hawkinson. And I remember asking a question recently, who do you think's going to have more yards, Addison or Hawk? And I would still lean Jordan Addison, but if you told me Hawk goes for 1,000 yards and Addison only goes for 800, I would not be shocked whatsoever. So I think both those guys will have good years, but mainly Josh Oliver and that run blocking department. I think when the Vikings are really trying to get downhill, we'll see his snaps really increase in just certain games. Tang Yang coming in. What's going on? My biggest X factor is the interior O-line. Vikings ride or die with them. That's a great point because there are some question marks on the interior offensive line. It looks good on paper. Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, Donovan Jackson. But if I wanted to be a negative Nancy and I want to take the negative view of that O-line, I would say Donovan Jackson, he's unproven. He played left tackle for Ohio State last year. Now, obviously, offensive guard is his true position, but you say, hey, he's going to have to adjust back to playing guard. Ryan Kelly, you could just say, hey, he's getting older. Will Fries coming off a broken leg. Like, there are question marks still on that interior offensive line. It looks great on paper. Like, when I show you guys that graphic where it's like Darisaw, Donovan Jackson, Kelly, Fries, Brian O'Neill, like those that five-man offensive line for the Vikes, you're assuming that's going to be top 7, top 5 in the league. And if they do stay healthy and they play up to their abilities, they 110% can be. But I agree with you on that X factor. I was saying Isaiah Rodgers previously, but interior offensive line definitely there because, as we know, interior pressure on quarterbacks definitely affect them. Now, I will say it won't be as extreme with J.J. compared to Darnold and McCarthy just because J.J. is a better athlete than those guys, or Darnold and Cousins. Just 'cause, yeah, like I said, J.J.'s a better athlete, but don't disagree with you whatsoever on that one. But speaking about the season, you guys let me know. Predict the Vikings record for this season. You guys let me know down below in the comment section. Get them in now. I'm going to wait. I'm flirting between 11-6, 12-5. We'll get official prediction here on the channel here soon. But if you guys want to, let me know what you think the Vikings record will be next season. I'll get to more of you guys' questions in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Forms Daily Greens. Now, start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat. We'll hook you guys up with 40% off plus free shipping. Now, I'm not lying to you guys. I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I pivoted and tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens, and as the sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. In a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked #1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So if you guys want to start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form, head on over to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show. Factor75.com/VikingsChat. Tang Yang coming in. What's going on? Cut, extend, trade. Alrighty, this is fun. 98 Cunningham, 09 Favre, 07 Keenum. 07, I'm assuming you mean 2017 Keenum. Okay. I'm cutting Case Keenum. That's an obvious here. I think, well, if you trade Favre, 2009 Favre, you're not getting a lot. But you're also probably not you're not going to want to extend 09 Favre as he was like 40 years old that year. But Randall Cunningham, I would probably, this is a great question, Tang Yang. I'm cutting Case Keenum. That's easy. I'm going to trade Brett Favre, and I'm going to extend Randall Cunningham. I think. Maybe I'll flip those two. Tang, that's a great question. Hate you putting me on the spot like that, but fantastic stuff, man. Eric, what's going on? Hashtag Vikings. How do you see KOC using Felton during the regular season? We'll see. I mean, he could use him in a bunch of different ways. I could also see games where Ty Felton doesn't get on the field. Just because how stacked they are at that wide receiver position. But if there is an injury, knock on wood, but there's an injury to Addison, Naylor, I think he steps in and he'll make a big impact. But specifically when Addison's suspended, I could see him having a massive, massive role. I just think he would be a better wide receiver too than Jalen Naylor. Now, also Kevin O'Connell was talking about Naylor recently, saying that he did a great job filling in for Addison. So maybe they got more faith in Naylor than I do. But I don't know. When you go turn on Ty Felton's tape at Maryland, dude's a dog, man. He really checks every box you would want at the wide receiver position. But, Eric, I appreciate you. Crypto coming in. What's going on? Who do you think is going to underperform this year for the Vikings? A little similar to the question we answered earlier, but like I was saying, I was thinking maybe an Andrew Van Ginkel, Byron Murphy, and that's no disrespect to Van Ginkel also. Van Ginkel had a historic year last year. Like, technically underperforming for Van Ginkel would be like 60 tackles, 10 sacks, and 1 pick-6. Just because of how special he was last year. And also, with Dallas Turner maybe more in the fold, maybe he doesn't get on the field as much as we think. Another guy to underperform, I don't want to put this out there. Maybe like Brian O'Neill takes a step back as he is getting a little older. But a good question. I would either go Van Ginkel, maybe Byron Murphy, maybe a Brian O'Neill. But we'll have to wait and see. Cohen, what is your biggest issue with J.J. McCarthy? You know, it's been all praise here on the channel about J.J. But I definitely do have some concerns. Obviously, number one is staying healthy. He had a slimmer frame coming out of college, and now he's added on weight. He looks good. He looks thick, which is fantastic. But layering the football in terms of just throwing, I think when he's sitting in the pocket, being able to put the ball, right over the top of the zone, I think that's something he's definitely going to be working on. But, I say that, and then you go turn on the tape from the first preseason game against the Raiders. He was layering the football like crazy. He can obviously throw the deep ball. He can obviously zip it over the middle of the field. But I'm more talking those corner routes where he's just sitting in the pocket. He's just kind of got to drop one in. Maybe that's one thing I'm going to be a little concerned with for McCarthy. But besides that, don't really have any concerns. I'm very confident in this kid, man. He's got his head screwed on straight. He looks awesome. Ghoul City, what would your perfect season look like for the Vikes? Unreal question. Love this. Like, are we talking realistic perfect season? Because obviously I would just say 17-0. They win the Super Bowl. JJ wins MVP, all that. Realistic perfect season for your Ghoul City. I think it's winning the NFC North. Vikes go 13-4. And I think Justin Jefferson goes for like 1,900 yards. I think if I had to pick like one guy to have like a statistical outlier type of season, I'd probably just want it to be Jefferson. Him going out there, he gets 1,900 yards. Maybe like also this defensively, Van Ginkel, Turner, and Gennard combined for 30-plus sacks. That would be sick. They combined for almost like 27 last year, so 30 is definitely on the table. But yeah, perfect season. You go win that Super Bowl. That's it. Yeah, obviously, if I want to go unrealistic, 17-0, Vikes win the Super Bowl. They don't allow a single point the entire year, but we'll see. Ghoul City, I appreciate you though. Patang Yang, hit me again with these tough questions. This is messed up, especially this one. Cut, extend, trade. 07 Adrian Peterson, 98 Randy Moss, 2020 Justin Jefferson. All right, I'm cutting Adrian Peterson. I just felt something in my heart when I said that. And that's just because of the running back position. I'd rather have a dynamic wide receiver than a dynamic running back. You can just look at the contracts in the NFL, and they would agree with that. Now it comes down to 98 Randy Moss and 2020 Justin Jefferson. I'm going to trade Randy Moss, and I'm going to extend Justin Jefferson. Obviously, you're getting a huge haul for both those guys, but I've been saying Jefferson's going to be a top 10 receiver of all time. Obviously, Randy is a top 3 receiver of all time. And you guys can call me a young Vikings homer, all that. It's probably the reason I'm picking Jefferson over Randy. Yeah, that's a tough question. I would probably cut AP, extend Jefferson, trade Randy Moss. More former Vikings here. Last question by Gordon the GOAT. If you could add any former Vikings player to this team, who would it be? Great question. All right, so let's think position of need here. Would it be wild to say 2017 Xavier Rhodes? Is that a wild thing to say? Like if I had to pick a specific year, a specific player, that 2017 Xavier Rhodes, or maybe Antoine Winfield would be up there. But I thought Xavier Rhodes, he was one of the best corners we've ever seen during that season. I was going to maybe go a defensive line, but you're probably good there. You could go Adrian Peterson for this one. It's Xavier Rhodes. I would probably go Rhodes. Just because I think he would be the icing on the cake to this defense. Because could you imagine the defense with 2017 Rhodes, Murphy in the slot? You got Isaiah Rodgers working in with Brian Flores. Like, that would be the best defense in the league. Or do you just create the best running game in the league and you just say, hey, here's 2011 Adrian Peterson on your team? That's a great question, though. I appreciate it. You guys also let me know. Any former Vikings player that adds to the team, who would it be? But if you guys also made it to the end of this mailbag, we appreciate all of you guys for watching. And if you guys did watch this entire thing, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comments section. Shout out to all of the real ones who watched this entire thing. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter for more content around your Minnesota Vikings. That's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right on back. We'll see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes. Alrighty. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Good live show. Good Vikings talk here. Yeah, shout out to all the real ones, man. Shout out to Mark, Alex Waters, Wazazy in the building, Eric in the house. All right, one more of this keep 2, bench 2, cut 2. That's it. You guys are putting me on the spot too much. Trey Brown, keep 2, bench 2, cut 2. All in their prime, even if it's on a different team. Vikings wide receiver edition. Love this. Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Greg Jennings. So the 2 I'm keeping is Jefferson and Randy Moss. If I'm benching 2, Chris Carter is obviously the one I'm benching. Now it's between, all right, I'm keeping Adam Thielen. I was going to say Thielen or Greg Jennings. I'm keeping Thielen. Then I'm cutting Stephon Diggs and Greg Jennings. That's probably what I'll do. These are fantastic questions. Yeah, you guys are the best. But, hey, we're going to get on out of here. I appreciate all of you guys for watching today's show. Great stuff from you guys. Thank you guys so much. We'll be live next Wednesday. We're actually going to have 2 mailbags next Wednesday. May do a whole lot of talking on that show because that's right before I take some PTO right before the season. Shout out to all the real ones. Tommy Wood, Brady, Cohen, Eric, Corey, Tyman the Buckeye, Penguin Zero, Trey Brown, all of you guys. You guys killed it today. So see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes.